What the developers are most afraid of, this is a difficult nail household, and now all the houses have been demolished. The cottage is the only one left, and the owner is an old man named Jill, who does not want a huge amount of compensation, but prefers to go against the developer. When the boss came to inspect, he used a loudspeaker to scold the spicy chicken, and when the workers were working, he accidentally broke the mailbox. He walked up directly with a stick and beat the other party to blood, which made him a big deal. Jill was arrested for intentional injury and forced to be sent to a nursing home, but if she left now, the house would definitely be gone. Jill returns home sad and opens an old photo album that contains memories that are why he doesn't want to open it. At that time, Jill was a young boy, and although timid, he was very adventurous, and dreamed of becoming a great adventurer like Charles, and that day he was in the old warehouse. Meets the little girl Lisa, who has no front teeth and plays adventure games alone like a tomboy because of the same hobby. The two soon became good friends who talked about everything, and Lisa's biggest dream was to go to Paradise Falls. Build a little house of your own, and when they grow up, they really get married by the old warehouse and decorate it into the way they dreamed it would. Lisa works at the playground and Jill is there to deliver balloons, and life is simple and happy, and like all couples, they want a baby and have a baby room ready. But the doctor's words shattered their hopes, and Lisa was found to be infertile, and she was depressed every day. To make his wife happy, Jill takes out her adventure diary and prepares to save up money to go to Paradise Falls. Fulfill his wife's childhood dream, but every time the money is full, there will always be some accidents. The car had a flat tire, smashed, and the leg was injured and broken. Smash again, the house is crushed by the tree, and then smash, day after day. They became grandparents, but they were still as sweet as ever, and Jill no longer hesitated that day. Bought 2 plane tickets and was ready to surprise Lisa. But Lisa fell ill and died not long after, leaving Jill alone, looking at the paintings on the wall. With the letter from the nursing home in hand, Jill silently made a decision that he wanted to fulfill Lisa's dream alone, so the next day, he hung balloons all over the house. Jill used a sheet as a sail, used a coffee machine to control the direction, and successfully flew into the air. Let's hit the road, Lisa. Halfway through the flying house, there was a knock on the door. Jill thought he was hallucinating, but it was 100 meters in the air outside. How could there be anyone? He opened the door curiously. It turned out to be the little fat who came before, and he went back and forth several times in order to get the microchapter that helped the old man. Jill was impatient to be entangled, and drove him out directly, but he didn't expect Chubby to be so persistent, and he chased him here. Let me in. Jill had no choice but to let Chubby in first, and after a while, Chubby took a look at himself. But not long after, they encountered cumulonimbus clouds, and after a bumpy night, they came to South America safely. It's getting closer and closer to the destination, but Chubby is a talker, talking a lot like spitting beans, and Jill can't stand it anymore. He cut off some balloons and prepared to put Chubby down, but he didn't choose the right position, and under the dense fog was the Grand Canyon. Jill didn't pay attention and hit the rocks on the ground, and the flying house also drifted away, thanks to Jill's quick eyes. Grabbing the water pipe, he finally stopped the flying house as he approached the cliff, and when the fog in front of him dissipated, Jill was surprised to find it. Paradise Waterfall is right across from him, and he found it by mistake. It's so beautiful. Lisa, it's so pretty. They wanted to climb back into the house, but their fighting power was too weak, so they had to carry the flying house on their backs and walk towards the waterfall step by step. But not long after leaving, Xiaopeng was tired and couldn't say anything. He took out chocolate to satisfy his hunger, but suddenly there was more to eat. Fat looked back and saw that it was a strange bird that he had never seen before, full of colors and a pair of long legs. After eating and drinking, the strange bird happily sticks to Chubby, and Chubby also wants to take his new friends on the road together, but Jill doesn't do it. He didn't want to cause any more trouble, so Chubby had to leave the chocolate and let the strange bird quietly follow. I see you back. Just then, Jill heard the voice, and his excitement diminished. It's nice to meet people here. But what ran out was a talking dog, and the dog called Doug a tracking dog. The collar around his neck is the reason why he can speak, and it catches Jill at a glance, and follows him with a dead face, "Let me be your captive." But secretly, it also had its own purpose, and just like that, the traveling party grew, and together they went to Paradise Falls. But there are constant troubles on the road, and Jill's anger value soars. "I don't want you to stay here. I don't want to see you. I'm annoyed with you." After a reprimand, they finally quieted down, and after a good night's rest, the strange bird heard the child's cry and flew away early in the morning. The rest of the people continued on their way, but before they had gone far, they were stopped by a group of vicious dogs, all with collars around their necks, and it was clear that Doug was in league with them. On his side, there was an undercover agent in ambush, and they were forcibly taken to the valley, and Doug followed cautiously. When I walked to the entrance of a cave, the owner of the vicious dog also appeared, and this person was a little familiar. "Isn't it the idol Charles?" Jill held his hand excitedly, and became a little fan in a second. "You're very tasteful." Charles was also very happy that he had been retired for many years, and that there were still people who remembered him, and he took Jill and them to visit the expedition spacecraft, but the more he went, the more he went. The atmosphere became more and more eerie, and the spaceship was full of skeletons of hunted animals. Closer to it, there are many more helmets worn by explorers. It turns out that Charles is not as friendly as he seems, and he not only hunts animals, but also kills explorers who find this place. And the purpose of his doing this is to catch the strange bird with his own hands and not be disturbed by anyone. Many years ago, he brought back the skeleton of a strange bird, but it was not recognized by the world. Instead, he was accused of being a fraudster, stripped of his membership, and since then, he has settled in Paradise Falls. Preparing to hunt the monster alive, to make a name for himself, Jill senses the danger and makes an excuse to slip away. But at this moment, the strange bird flew back again, so let's run away when it's over. The two men rushed out of the spaceship and ran into the canyon, and the vicious dog chased after them, and they were about to bite Chubby. It turned out that Doug turned against the water and threw stones from the top of the mountain to buy them time to escape, and they escaped everything for the time being. But the strange bird was hurt. "Can we send it home first?" Jill hesitated for a moment. "Okay." But they didn't expect that Doug's collar was actually equipped with a tracker, and they were soon discovered. A large net fell from the sky, instantly caught the strange bird, and then Charles stepped off the spaceship. A fire ignites the flying house, and Jill is caught in a dilemma between the flying house and the strange bird. At this time, the wife's photo fell, making a crisp sound, and Jill immediately rushed over to put out the fire. And Chubby could only watch the strange bird being captured by Charles. He's disappointed in Jill. "You give it up." He didn't understand why Jill cared about this lifeless house. The two parted unhappily, and Gil walked with heavy steps, and came to the waterfall alone, and everything in front of him coincided with his wife's painting. He finally fulfilled the dream, but he couldn't be happier, and Jill opened his wife's adventure diary. I repasted the painting, but unexpectedly found that the originally blank plan page was quietly filled by my wife. It is full of bits and pieces of their lives, and every photo is full of happy smiling faces. Jill thinks that his wife has been thinking about the adventure of Paradise Falls, but she doesn't know her biggest dream. It is to spend the rest of her life happily with Jill, and her dream has come true, writes at the end of the diary. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey, and now let's go on the next part of my own adventure. The words of his wife stay untied the shackles in Jill's heart, and he no longer numbs himself with memories. Instead, to take Lisa's hope and live a wonderful life for two people, Jill goes out to look for Chubby, only to find that he has been tied to a balloon. Flying to save the strange birds, he wants to drive the flying house to help, but there are too few balloons, and the house is too heavy. Unable to fly at all, he had to throw away the furniture to reduce weight, piggy bank and refrigerator. Lisa's favorite sofas were all thrown out, and the house finally flew up. But when he arrived, Xiaopeng was already tied to a chair and kept sliding down 10,000 meters in the air. Jill hurriedly threw out the water pipe, and with a sliding step, rescued Chubby, leaving him in the flying house. Then, with Doug, he sneaked into the spaceship and found the strange bird that was locked up. As soon as he was about to make a move, he was discovered by Charles, and both a man and a dog were cornered. At the critical moment, Doug accidentally touched the switch, and the ship changed direction. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jill and the others climbed to the top of the spaceship with the strange birds. Chubby arrived in time to pick them up, but before they could run into the flying house, Charles caught up. Half of the balloons were knocked out with one shot, and the house descended uncontrollably, and Gil was busy tugging at the water pipe. It was able to stabilize the house, but this gave Charles an opportunity to break into the house with a shotgun. Slowly approaching Chubby and the strange bird, Jill was quick to see that he was about to succeed. Taking out the chocolate in his pocket, the strange bird was really attracted and rushed out with Chubby. Charles followed, but was caught in the balloon and finally fell 10,000 meters into the air. The flying house also fell into the clouds. Sorry for damaging your house. Nothing, just a house. Eventually, the strange bird returned to nature. Jill also took them home, and at Chubby's award ceremony, Jill presented him with his highest medal, Lisa Medal. On the other side of the far-flung Paradise Falls, the flying house has also found a home, and it has landed where it should have landed. If you go on a trip and adventure, it's to meet, never before, wonderful scenery. Experiencing a fulfilling life that I never thought possible, then meeting you is the most beautiful adventure I can think of.